Hello, everybody. It's Randy Selzer here. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we have a very special guest with us today. Maria Saverino is joining us. She is the creative director at a company called Milagro Interiors. And Maria has been in the industry for a long time. She's a stager, one of the top stagers in the West End of the GTA. And she has a very interesting background in photography and in something that I read about you today, Maria, a color specialist. We're going to have to ask you about that. And you're also an interior designer. So welcome aboard. So nice to have you on board today.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm excited to move on with this podcast.
No problem. It's great to have you on board. We're just going to chat today. And the topic for today is staging, which is I'll give you a little background about me before we introduce you fully. When staging first came out, as you know, I've been in the industry a long time. I was kind of skeptical when it first came out. I thought, oh, it's just another gimmick, people feeding off this huge real estate machine. But over the years, I have changed my opinion, and I know now that staging absolutely works. It absolutely works. So hold that in mind, folks who are listening today. Before we start, Maria, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? Where are you from?
Well, I am from Toronto. I'm born and raised in Toronto, but I do have a background. I'm Italian. My parents immigrated here separate times.
My favorite people, best people, and absolutely the best food. Absolutely the best food. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'll try not to interrupt. I do that a lot, though.
I'll have to have your mom and my mom, invite you over for dinner.
Be careful. Be careful what you promise.
Yeah, so I started off in advertising and graphic design. So that's my background. I went to university for that, and it kind of evolved and I'm always trying to improve my skills and my professional development. So I kept going back to school and getting certifications. So went for management certification. I went back again for photography. And then I went back again for staging. So I got my certification in staging. So it all evolved slowly and progressed differently as time went on. But I've always been a creative.
Well, and I think you're a very creative. You're also a visual type of person, which not everybody is. I'm not. Like, I have trouble visualizing stuff. People say, "Oh, I'll just do this and that." I could never be a stager. There's no way. Or an interior designer, forget it. I don't have those skills. I honestly, and I mean that as a sincere compliment, either you got it or you don't. If you're a visual type of person, you can just see stuff.
Yeah.
And I've watched you, and I've watched other stagers too, but they just know. And you especially. We were in a conversation a few months back with one lady and about a house, and you were talking about the different kinds of white paint. And I remember you told her to go with a paint called Chantilly lace, which I'd never heard of. And you explained it in great scientific detail why that was the best paint. And you know what? You're right. And how it pops. And to me, again, being not an expert on colors and stuff, white is white, but it isn't really, is it? There's all sorts of different kinds of white color or any other color. So, okay, so you grew up in Toronto, and are you living in Mississauga now? I think your company is in Mississauga.
I'm in Mississauga, now residing in Mississauga. My business is in Mississauga, but I do service the GTA. But for the most part, I'm getting a lot of jobs on the West End.
Yeah, well, but if somebody calls you from Pickering, you're not going to turn them down, right?
No, I've been to Aurora. So
oh my goodness. Okay, well, it's a big city. It definitely is. All right, so let's talk a little bit about staging. And again, people listening here today, they may have heard the term or maybe not. If you're a homeowner, especially whether it's a house or a condo, and you're thinking about selling possibly, what is staging and what does it do? How can it help you?
Like you said, a lot of people probably don't know about the art of staging. They don't know what it is and what it is involved. It's fairly new. Basically, staging is when someone lists a property for sale, you want to showcase its best features and you want to create an inviting atmosphere. And you want it to appeal to the masses of potential buyers walking through the home. Probably hear everyone say depersonalize, declutter. That's like
we're going to talk about that.
So that's okay, we'll talk about that later. But the goal is to help the buyers imagine themselves living in the space. So it
Ah,
can lead faster sales and higher offers. And that's a strategic approach that staging has, which I guess we'll talk about as well, that you
Maria,
maximize the
it
home's value.
you know what? And again, you know me. We've known each other for a little while now. So I've been in the business for 30 years. I used to be proud of that. Now I don't mention it so much because people think, oh, you're a real relic, you know. But it took me a while to figure out because I had come from a background in corporate sales, something else completely different. And it took me a while to understand that process that goes on in, we're talking about buyers here, in buyers' heads when they walk
Yeah,
into a property. And I've come to the conclusion that buyers tend to buy on emotion. They do.
they
Not investors. Investors are different. That's a different category. But for a buyer who's looking at a house or a condo, and you're as an agent, you're showing them a half a dozen different properties that day. You're looking for it's like a kind of an acceptance, or it's like, this is a really nice place. That's not logic speaking. I believe it took me years to figure this out. It's emotion. And my experience with stagers, the good ones like yourself, is that you guys somehow seem to find a way to tug on those heartstrings. You find a way to maximize. You're not creating something that isn't there, but you're maximizing that emotional response. Am I
yeah.
off base on that, or does that make sense?
No, there's a whole psychology that comes behind staging
Yes.
when it's not about decorating. I obviously decorating is part of it, but it's
Right.
not just filling the room with objects. That's not the purpose. Because sometimes we take some stuff out because there might be too much furniture in the space. There's,
Oh my goodness.
you
Welcome
know,
to my
for
world. Somebody's
it
lived in
takes
a house, for 30 years. They got so much stuff. It's like you got to get rid of it, right?
yeah, and
Or
it's
some of it.
and it's tough going in there, telling someone that because it is their home.
Mhm.
They live in the space. And I always try to tell them, and the way we live in a home is not the way you want to market your home. You
Mhm.
need to put some work into it. It takes 3 seconds for a person when they walk in the entrance to realize if they want to continue looking. Like, those 3 seconds are crucial to when
Maria,
someone walks in.
you're talking you're on the same page as me. I believe, I don't know about 3 seconds, but I know it's in the first few seconds that when people walk in a house or a condo, they already made their mind up whether they like it
Yes,
or not. And by the time they get upstairs or down to the basement, they've already decided whether they like the property or not. You're right. It's that first impression that counts so much. So, okay, well, we'll talk a little bit about that. And I love the way you guys, and again, I was converted here. When I first heard about staging, I thought, oh, it's just a gimmick, right? It isn't. Trust me, folks. If you're listening to this today, it's not a gimmick and it does work. Um, I believe that
well,
you guys you paint like a picture. People say, well, okay. And I say, well, if you put a rocking chair by the window with a shawl on it, stuff. And it's like, why would you do that? But you're painting a picture, right? Right? Okay,
yeah,
maybe that's a little cliche, but it's true and it works.
it's a lifestyle. Sometimes you have to create a lifestyle, right? Of the person walking in there saying, wow, yes, this is what I want to
Here's
live
the
here.
fireplace, here's the rocking
Yes.
chair, it's snowing outside or whatever. But it works and I've seen it work.
Yeah.
Um, okay, let's talk a little bit about the two biggies, which is declutter and depersonalize. Okay, so I often deal with people a little bit older demographic where they've lived in a house for a long time and they have 40 years of stuff. It's amazing. And I've had to go through this where you once in a while you just have to be ruthless and get rid of stuff because it's too much. Maybe you're thinking of your parents or older people that you just accumulate over the years. And it's a delicate topic because, well, that was my kid's toys. Yeah, but your kid is now 40. Do you really need to keep that stuff? Why is it important to declutter?
So, so I mentioned this as well. I don't just do the home staging where I come in and maybe place the furniture and decorate, or I also come in and probably use your furniture too. I don't necessarily take everything away. I do use some of the furniture from the homeowner, and maybe I'll add some pieces and decorate. Or it could just be a consultation where I tell them that they need to remove some items, maybe repair something, paint a few walls and such. But when it comes to the decluttering, I also can help with that as well, because it is overwhelming. It's hard for someone living in a home for maybe 30 years. We all collect stuff. I
We do.
mean, all of us do it, especially basements. It becomes a huge storage
Yep.
place. Garage, no one parks their car in the garage anymore.
Yep.
Bedrooms might have offices or there's playpens, and it's not showing as a bedroom. So when you have a home on for sale, you have a listing and you have people coming through, you don't want them to see your stuff. You want them to see the functionality of the space. So that's part of the staging. You want them to see function, and you want them to see flow, and you want them to see the space. They're buying the home. They're not buying your objects. They're not buying your furniture.
Right.
Yes, we come in as stagers. Maybe it's vacant. That's another thing too.
That's another topic. We should talk about that too.
Right. Yes, we come in and we bring our furniture and accessories and we decorate, but we try to create that lifestyle and show the space. So when it comes to going into home and you have way too much furniture or way too many tchotchkes and stuff.
Okay. Yep.
For instance, I went to a home and I actually helped them declutter pre-staging, I call it, where we go in and we go through all their things, and there's a whole, again, it's psychological because we tend to attach ourselves to objects. It might have meaning to us, but I've been through homes where the people forget what they bought and it's in the basement. Oh, that's where that was.
I bought that in 1982. I remember that.
And they buy another one, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. But I help them. It's basically hand holding. I go through everything. We open up bins because we need to clear out the space and show the space, because literally it is jam-packed full of boxes and items that they haven't seen in years. And if you haven't seen it in years and you're not using it, then why hang on to it? So I try to help them through the process of letting it go. And anyway, they have to pack. I always say, you're going to have to pack anyway. So let's start now. And they're so happy and so pleased at the end of the process, because then when it comes to move day, they're halfway there. They just need to grab the boxes and go. They're not paying a mover double the amount of money to move stuff again into another basement to sit there for 20 years.
I like that. The fact that you're going to have to pack anyway. So let's pack some of this stuff and get it out of here now. That's really great. Well,
it'll help your sale. It'll help your sale. You pack it away now.
Right.
You're going to declutter. Your house is going to look better.
Right.
And then you're already ready when you need to move on. So decluttering and depersonalizing basically is removing excess items, furniture, and depersonalizing, as probably everybody knows.
Coming up next, that's on deck. Yep.
You need to remove any photos, any personal items like trophies.
Okay.
On walls.
Okay. We'll get to that. We're going to start. I'm going to ask you about that in just a minute. But just to recap then, so for decluttering, would you say it's fair to say that there's three things you can do with all your excess stuff? Number one, you can try to sell some of it, maybe on like Facebook Marketplace or something. Number two, you can donate it, Value Village or Habitat for Humanity or whatever. Or three, you can just chuck it out over a period of time before you list the house or list the condo. Is that fair to say those are three things? Just give
so when I go into a home, we have categories. Keep, which is going to stay, donate, or sell. So, and I have a list of companies that I hand over to them.
Good. Okay.
They can either donate to Habitat for Humanity. They take a lot of furniture. So I have a bunch of places where
Right.
they can, and that way we keep stuff out of the landfill because I don't want, you know,
Good point.
garbage. Just people that can use
Well,
maybe the
you know,
furniture or
one
clothing
man's
or,
garbage is another man's treasure. It's true.
right.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that for an old couch or something, that's like a gift from the sky. You know, they're happy to get that.
Yes.
I could tell you from my own personal experience, I've moved a few times in my life, and each time I've tried to get rid of stuff, and it's liberating. I believe the less
It is.
stuff you have, the freer you are. I really do believe that.
Easier to clean your home too.
I know some of this. I've been behind that bookcase in 10 years, but it's good to
Yeah.
clean it once in a
Dusting
while.
becomes easier. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's decluttering. Makes a lot of sense. I think people listening today will be able to relate to that. The less stuff that you have in your house, the cleaner it's going to look, the bigger it's going to look, the more inviting it's going to look, right?
Like you feel, like you said, you mentioned you have a load off. Like you feel,
Ah,
I can breathe. Like it's such a,
time,
it's,
Maria.
can't tell you how many times I left a home and someone's like hugging me and like thanking me, like, oh my God, I feel this is great. It was such a great process to go through this. I'm so thankful. And I feel happy because I enjoy doing it.
That's great. No, that's great. That really is. And I relate to it personally. Now, you touched upon a very interesting concept, and that is depersonalizing your house. And my understanding is that if you have too many family photos or too many personal things, it's more difficult for a potential buyer to picture. Again, the whole idea is for the buyer to picture themselves living in that space. So
Yes.
if they're looking at it and there's a wall full of family photos, it's harder for them to picture that because of that personalized aspect. Am I on base with that one, or how does that
Yes.
work?
Yes, of course. You don't want to go into home. I remember back in the day, you would see these huge photographs of the wedding. There's a
All right.
portrait from
Again,
the.
1982, but okay, fine, whatever. Yeah.
When someone comes to the home, they don't want to see who's living in the home. They want to picture themselves. Again, it's psychology. They want to picture themselves living in the space. So that's why we say get rid of any personalized items, photographs, and even religious items, right?
Ah, interesting. Okay.
As well, you should remove those items because,
That's a
we're
delicate one.
in
That's a
Canada, we're
delicate one in today's world.
multicultural.
Yeah.
Yes, so
All
yeah.
right.
Oh,
No, but
and
that makes
also
perfect.
medical, money or jewelry, like if you have like expensive jewelry, we also say to remove that
Oh,
as well.
yeah, that's for sure.
Medicine, because medicine also has personal information on it as well. So some medicine cabinets might have
Maria, I
your,
never thought of that, but that's a very good point. That's a very
yeah.
good point. Okay. Okay. All right. So we're okay. So depersonalizing, and that could be especially photos, I think. And these again, this is a delicate topic when these are precious photos, right? For most people. That's my son when he was 8 years old. But
Yes.
he was a cute kid, but maybe the buyer, again, it's sidetracking the buyer, thinking, oh, this is someone else's house. You don't want that, right? Is that right?
Again, like I said, when it comes time to decluttering and you're packing, this is a good time to pack those items as well. Pack them away. It is a delicate topic
Can be, yeah.
going into the home because I don't want people to feel like I don't like their stuff or I don't like their home or how they decorated. It's a bit tricky. It's not about that. Again, I try to explain, the way we live in a home is not the way you're going to market a home. I mean, like for instance, if you're going to, I always bring this up too. I said, if you're going to sell your car,
Mm,
are you not going to fix up your car? Are you going to
good
leave the
point.
dent on the side? Are you going to leave all your stuff in the car, in the trunk? They want to
Right.
see the space. They want to see
Exactly.
you need to fix it up to get more money for it and it'll sell faster.
Makes
So
sense.
that's the same as your home, which is your biggest investment. So why not put the time in it to
Totally agree.
prepare yourself to sell it?
I'll tell you one little story, and I tend to ramble on. So if I ramble on too much, just let me know, okay? And I'll shut up. I once had a condo listed, given to me to list, It was in Toronto, right near Yorkdale, so right near like Dufferin and Lawrence area. And it was one of these weird buildings that had like an L shape. It was like an L shaped building. And this particular condo that I was hired to sell, because of the way it was located in the L shape, there was no. It's okay,
Sorry, it's a realtor calling. I'll have to call them back. Sorry.
no problem. So it was in an L shape, and in when you walked in, there was no window in the living room. There were windows in both bedrooms, but in the living room, it felt like you're in a basement apartment. I couldn't believe it. I walk in there and it was vacant too. I walk in there and I'm going, what? There's no window in the living room. So, and this is before I knew you, Maria, but
Yeah.
we
Help.
got a stager to come in, and she was great. And they brought in their whole crew, brought all their stuff, and they put mirrors and plants and stuff, and it looked really good. It almost hid the fact that there was no window in the living room.
Yeah, there's a
Anyways,
bunch of
to
things.
make a long story short, and I thought this is going to be a hard one to sell. I mean, I wouldn't buy it. Condo with no window in the living room. A week later, we sold it. I couldn't believe it, and I'm 100% sure it was the staging that made it happen. Honestly,
Definitely,
and
definitely.
I felt bad afterwards. I thought, again, this poor buyer, after the stager removed all their stuff, when he finally moved in, he, he was going to see that condo in a different light than what it really was. But the deal closed, so I guess I should be happy. That was one of the events that led me to understand that staging really, really works. It really does. And that was just perfectly done. And it was a beautiful condo. It's just that the weird design, there was no window in the living room. That's just
Yes.
weird. But so, anyways, let's
Yeah,
talk a
that's
little.
how staging helps too when there's awkward spaces as well, or yeah,
Absolutely,
make it
absolutely.
look
Let's talk a little
functional.
bit about the actual process of what happens. Okay, somebody calls their realtor, and I'll tell them I'm their realtor, and I'll tell them, okay, you've got a nice place, but you should consider bringing in a stager because it needs some freshening up, or it needs, it's cluttered, or you need some help. You need some professional help here, especially depending on the type of market we're in. Right now, it's a little slower than it was maybe 3 years ago, so that can help. So, how does the process work? Let's say the client will call you up and say, Maria, can you come over and have a look at my house? What would happen next?
So it could start off with a consultation. So I'd come to the home and we can
So you'd come to the
come up with
home.
a plan.
Okay,
I would come to the home and
I've seen you do this. Okay.
we would go around, walk around, do a little walkthrough and decide either it's decided before if we're going to be staging or it's just a consult, or it could be decided as I'm walking through. But basically, we would do a consultation where I would let them know if there's any repairs. I also help if there's any repairs that I just went yesterday to a home in Burlington. The it's been sitting on the market actually for 3 months and hasn't been sold. So that's
Mhm.
why the realtor is calling me to go in and stage it. And he said, Maria, is there anything else do you suggest that we do? And I was walking up and the banister was moving. And then when I went up to the top, it was really jiggling. I'm like, you know what, you need to fix this. Because then the homeowners are coming in and thinking, oh, I'm going to have to put hundreds of dollars into fixing this banister. Meanwhile, who knows? It could cost not that much to fix. I don't know, but
Tighten up some
there's
screws, maybe. That's it. Yeah.
20,000 less on the bidding
Isn't
of
that
the
something?
house.
Even a
So
dripping tap, I have found.
yes,
It's just a sign of neglect. It's like, well, wait a minute. They put their house up for sale and the tap is dripping.
or then thinking they're thinking, oh, I got to come in here and I got to fix all this stuff.
Right.
Oh, that's going to cost me money.
Right.
So
Okay.
fix it.
So okay, so back to the process. So okay. So you come over, you do the consultation, you meet these people at their nice bungalow in Etobicoke, and they say, you know what, Maria, we're going to do it. We'd like to stage the house. What's the next steps then that take place? If they say yes, let's do it. What happens next? And
We would
we want to have the house up for sale in 3 weeks because they're going to stage it first before they put it up for sale. So
right.
what would happen next?
So we would plan. Well, there's the planning process of choosing. I would have to figure out choosing, is there furniture coming in? Is there decor coming in? Then we plan the date. So there's a lot of planning. I get my team prepared, saying that this is happening this day. Got to get the truck, and everything is organized and planned for that day. We choose our inventory for that day, and then would be the execution of the day. So my team would come deliver everything.
With a big truck. Yes.
The
A
big
big
truck,
truck, right?
stuff is coming in. Could be a 4 bedroom home, fully furnished. We would have a huge truck coming in, and my team would go and execute and bring all the furniture and place it. And then we'll do the final touches where I make sure myself that every detail is perfect from the lighting placement, and I want to create a warm and inviting environment. I want to make sure everything's in place because also, as you mentioned at the beginning, I am a photographer. So I also think about the online listings and the angle of the photograph and how placement should be in the photograph when it comes to the listing, because that's the first touch point. That's the first time
It
the
is.
person the home, and it's important for them to come. And I've seen people take pictures and then go to the home and it's empty. For me, that's a big no-no too, because
Virtual staging. I hate
doc-
that. Okay, this
oh,
is a little off
virtual is
topic,
different. Yeah, I
but
can tell you a story about virtual too, because I have
maybe
experience.
we'll leave that for later. We'll leave that one for later. I don't believe in virtual staging, where basically it's fake stuff. You get a beautiful, I don't know whether they use Photoshop or AI to make it look like they have a picture of the vacant property, let's say, and then they have pictures of couches and mirrors and plants that aren't really there. But again, the problem is, and it looks great, but the problem is when the people show up to actually see the house, it doesn't look anything like the photos. So,
No,
but
I
that's
mean,
different. We're talking about real staging here when you and
yeah,
your crew show up and you're bringing real furniture and real plants and real stuff. Can I ask you, do you
the fake.
sometimes, again, we talked about paint at one point. Again, if someone says to you, we want to have the house listed in 3 weeks, or let's say a month, we got a month to ramp up to this, and you walk in, one of the bedrooms was a teenage boy, and the walls in that bedroom are black. You've seen these, I'm sure. They're black, and they
Yeah.
got like Metallica posters on the wall. You know that's bad. The rest of the house is fine. Would you tell them you got to paint this bedroom before
Oh
it
yeah,
goes up? So that could
100%.
be part of the stage, but they would have to do that themselves, right? Like a stager would not do the painting, would they?
No, we do have a team of
Recommended,
contractors
right?
we recommend, but we don't do it ourselves.
Okay, because I've seen you
I
do that. I've
would
seen it. Yeah, I was just in one actually. Exactly that.
it was
The
one that was
teenage boys, black walls and black ceiling. I'm thinking to myself, you let him do that? They did. They're indulgent
that's fine.
parents,
That's their style. They're living there. That's okay. But when you come again, when it comes to selling it,
right?
not everyone's gonna like that, and you want it. It needs
Yep.
to be neutral to
Right.
attract. You don't know how many people are coming through the home, so yeah, no, definitely I would ask to paint. I mean, I have a before and after where
Mm.
the walls were red. There was all kinds of picture frames everywhere, and like if you see the after where I told them to paint it this color, get rid of this furniture. I came in and brought a few decor pieces, a nice, beautiful art, and it was night and day. It was
I believe
beautiful.
it.
Like,
I believe it.
so I definitely tell them to paint it, but that either they could do it themselves or they can hire a contractor to
Right.
go for them.
Before and after pictures are amazing. And I will mention that I'm going to put all your contact information underneath the video today and also on the audio podcast. So I'm sure you've got some of those on your website. Is it milagrointeriors.com? Is that what it is?
.ca.
Oh, .ca. Okay. Milagrointeriors.ca. We'll make sure that people get that. No problem. Okay, so they say to you, okay, we want to be up on the market in a month. Tell us what to do. Maybe they have to paint 1 or 2 rooms. They have to do some decluttering, some depersonalizing. And then you set an appointment date where your crew shows up with a big truck. And do they have to stage the entire house or can they stage part of the house? How does that work?
Yeah, so it depends on their budget and what they want to do. Definitely, I make my suggestions and I probably would strongly suggest a few things, but in the end, it's their decision. So sometimes, for instance, there might be some smaller bedrooms and they don't want to stage bedrooms if they're all vacant. I find it hard for people to visualize an empty space. And oh, they're like, oh, I don't know, will it, would would this my furniture fit there? Is this gonna fit a queen bed? I would suggest to stage it, but in the end, it's their decision and what to do. But I've done this for so long now that I think I know what I'm doing.
Oh, I know you do.
I hope
Trust me, I know
people
you do.
hope people take my advice, but
Yeah.
again, it's
So,
up to them. Yes, it can be
and
the entire house, partial.
we're not going to get into pricing, but just so people understand, when you basically what you're doing is you're renting furniture or other decor items from the
Right.
staging company, right? So it's on a piece basis. So if you're going to rent a couch, it's going to cost you a few dollars per month. If you're going to rent a mirror, a few dollars per month. So and then it adds up for a total bill. That's how it works, right? And again, you don't have to stage your entire property. If you think, because the less stuff you rent, the lower the bill. But there are certain key rooms. Which would be the key rooms, would you say, would be the most important ones to stage?
I would definitely, there's a master bedroom that needs to be showcased.
Okay.
And the entire main floor, you want to see the living spaces,
Right.
kitchen,
Okay.
living, dining.
Would
Yeah.
you typically stage a basement or not really? A finished basement? You
I've
could?
had, because again, sometimes the space may be awkward
Mm-hmm.
or it may be too big and people just don't know how to visualize furniture in the space.
Mm-hmm.
So I have, again, it depends on the homeowner. A lot of people don't, they leave it out,
Yeah.
but I have done it.
So every little bit helps, I guess, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. People are afraid to investing in it, but again, like I'm going to stage this property now that's been on the market for 3 months and
Yep.
sitting there. It's vacant. They're paying
Uh,
mortgage for it for 3 months.
I'll
So
make you a prediction. Once you get your
that's
staging
staging
done,
for,
and the agent will probably cancel that old listing and run it as a new one, I'll make you a prediction that house is going to sell in Burlington right away. It
yeah,
works,
I'm
folks. It works. I'm telling you, I was skeptical 20 years ago, but now I know it really, really works. Even condos that have no window in the living room, it will sell.
well,
And
so even there was another one I did in Brampton just uh, 3 weeks ago, and I sold in 5 days. And
in
it
this
was an
market,
in this market, staging is working. That's why people are using it now. So yeah, it does work. And this was an occupied home. It wasn't a full stage. I didn't bring furniture in. I just brought art and decor. And it really changed the space and the look of it. So
interesting.
doing that helps.
You got the look, you got the touch. Not everybody can see it. And you can tell, it's funny, I'm just going to say this. Um, because I look at a lot of houses every day, every week. I'm in houses and condos, and you can tell when a place has been staged by a great stager. You can also tell when a place has been staged by somebody who maybe isn't a licensed stager. They just put a couple of mirrors up and a couple of pillows on the couch. There are differences between stagers, and the really good ones like yourself. You absolutely know what you're doing. It's a skill. It really is.
Keep saying it's psychology and it's not just, oh yeah, let's just put a sofa here and here's some art. It's not about,
Well,
throwing furniture in that space. There's a whole
yeah. I would make a lousy stager. I'd be the world's worst
skill.
stager. I can't picture it. Okay, so your crew shows up and they put everything in place. I guess the homeowner, if they have some, let's say they had some old furniture that was in the way, they would have to that would be their responsibility to take their old couch and their old broken
Yeah.
rocking chair out and
Mhm.
either put it in storage. That's their responsibility to get that stuff out of there, right?
Yeah. And in the report, I would be telling them, you need to remove these pieces of furniture, and for staging day, they have to be gone.
Oh, right, right. Because you need room to put all your stuff. And I've seen it happen. It's a big crew. You guys show up. You're putting stuff on the walls. You're putting, moving furniture in. You're adjusting the
Have a
lighting.
lot already that day to set everything up. So, there was one homeowner that had like two refrigerators in their kitchen. Well, they had to remove one, and we
Right.
couldn't do that. You need to call someone in to get that out.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. So then let's say the property comes on the market. First of all, it's staged. The photographer comes out, takes amazing looking photos, an amazing video, and people come through. They get an offer. They sell their property. Then what happens at that point? Once the property's sold firm, what happens with all the stuff that's in the house?
After the sale, and they tell us, you come, when can you come? And we set up a date, and we go in, and take everything off the walls, take everything away, all the furniture and decor, and we do a nice clean up behind us.
Oh,
We don't leave
nice.
like
I
any
didn't know you
like
did that. That's good. So your house ends up being cleaner than it was in the first place. That's great.
yes. Yes, it does. Actually, we got to do a lot of cleaning on our carpets. I can't believe some people didn't take off their shoes. Some of the carpets are so muddy, and well, now with this weather, we're with snow, so that's not nice either. So we're actually clean. Yes, it's cleaner than when we how they left it. So
Well, so
yeah,
that's a
so
great
yeah,
process. So
it's
however
good.
long they're renting your furniture and your decor, it's by the month, I'm assuming, right? Every time. And it can go
Yes,
1 month, 2 month, 3 months, whatever. But that initial fee, that includes the delivery and setup plus the takeaway as well.
yes, it's
Okay,
the
so
initial
that right, because
includes
I
everything.
believe if it goes like a second month, then there's still a fee, but it's much less than the initial month.
Yes, it's
Okay.
probably, I think it ends up being 60% of the initial fee, but it depends on what furniture
Hopefully the house
or
will sell within a month for sure.
things sell fast with staging. I don't think I've had anything sit that long. No.
Well, a lot of people are doing it now. And again, it was sort of a slow start, as I remember 20 years ago. But now everybody, even condos, a lot of condos are staged. And the vast majority of them, I think, if you want to sell, because it speeds up that process 100%. And yes, I believe you can also get a little bit more money for sure. But it just makes again, you're painting a picture here. It's like being a photographer, but you're doing it with real life stuff. You're making it's orderly, it makes sense, right? Color coordinated, which is something I don't know. I'm a little bit colorblind too. Like I have trouble between like a navy blue and a black. Sometimes I can't tell. To me, it looks the same. I'm defective, Maria. What can I say? I've been that my entire life, a little bit colorblind. But you are not. I know you are definitely not. And okay, so that's very interesting, and I do urge people if you're thinking of putting your property up on the market, whether it's a house or a condo or whatever, you should consider calling Maria or calling a stager and having them come in and take a look at your property. And they'll give you some great ideas of what can be done. You don't have to do everything they suggest, but you can certainly do the like you say, the top highlighted points. And I will tell you, in my long experience, it absolutely works. You will sell your property faster and you could get more money for it, quite possibly. It just works. Yeah, again, there's a psychology involved. People buying a house, it's not like going out to buy a pair of shoes. It's a pretty big deal, or a condo. And there is an emotional attachment that's there. Just reminded me of something once years ago. I sold a townhouse in Mississauga, and I've been working with this lady for a while. We looked at a lot of townhouses, and she was from England. She was British. She was from London. And we finally found one, and she really liked this townhouse. So we bought it. And I asked her afterwards, why did you pick this particular one? Because it wasn't the prettiest one, it wasn't the cheapest one. And she said, well, it's the one in the backyard. There's in summertime. In the backyard, there's these peonies, these flowers, these peonies in the backyard that remind me of home back in England.
Oh.
And I was stunned, right? To me, I was thinking, that's not logical. You bought this to myself. I'm thinking, you bought a house because the flowers in the backyard remind you of England? And then again, it's that process of dawning on me that people buy property, houses and condos, townhouses, semis on emotion, the vast majority, not investors. They're just looking at the money, at the dollars and cents. But for normal people moving into a property, you could possibly buy a townhouse because it reminds you of England. But that's
Yeah,
not
see?
logical. That's emotion talking there, right?
Yeah.
I never forgot that. That's like in the early 2000s. And I was stunned. I didn't know what to say, which is not normal for me. But
That's another thing too, is the curb appeal. That's also something that I talk about when
okay,
it comes to consultation, the outdoor, not just the front of the house, the back of the house. It's very
it's
important.
important. again, we go back to that initial first impression. And if people drive up to, especially to a house, and it's all, the lawn needs to be cut and the trees are all overgrown and the driveway's got oil stains on it. And that's not a good first impression.
No.
So those are things that, again, you could make recommendations, get somebody in here or get your lawnmower out and mow the lawn kind of thing.
People come, I look at the front yard, it was lacking some color, so they would plant some flowers or peonies or, like I've
Yeah,
had people,
there you go.
yeah, so because you want that impression you want it to stand out.
We'll appeal to that British group of people out there looking for houses. We'll put some peonies in the yard, right? Okay. Works for me. Hey, if it works, it works.
Oh, you have to even, with the realtor, you know who you're gonna target, right? In that area. Is it a family? Is it a British community? There you go. So you need to plant
Not too
those
many of those
peonies.
these days, but God bless them. But yeah, no, that's great. So,
Just to add, I think it's very important to come up with the plan with your realtor because sometimes people know in advance if they're going to be selling.
mhm,
I think
yeah,
it's good to have a good plan because they need time to do the decluttering. If they're going to do it on their own, they're working. Maybe they're going to just do it evenings
right,
and weekends. It's very tiring, or they hire someone like me to help them out. But
right.
have that plan ahead of time,
Mhm.
and have the stager come in ahead of time to do the consult because you're going to need this month or so to or 2 months or whatever it may be prep it for.
And there's certain things. I mean, I was in a property recently too that still had orange shag carpeting in it from the 70s. I couldn't believe it. I hadn't seen that in a while. But some people just, they move into their house and they keep it the same forever.
Well, I
Other
went
people,
into their home, I was like, I walked into the 70s. It was like, wow.
where's the
I'm more.
disco ball? It's the only thing missing. Well, it really does work. And I've been completely converted over to staging. I do believe that that is a key, especially, see, back 3 years ago when we had bidding wars on every listing, people were willing to overlook stuff. Like, okay, it's a little cluttered, but there's 12 offers on the house. So, but now when the market has slowed significantly, and we're still kind of in a phase, I think it's going to get better this year, but we'll see what happens. There's a lot of uncertainty. I think staging will give anyone, if you're considering selling your house or condo, it will give you an edge. I do believe that 100%.
Yeah, I mean, in any market, staging works because there might be a couple homes that haven't been staged, but yours is staged and it'll stand out
That's right.
with the competition. You never know, right? So it does work.
Anyways, Maria, it's been a pleasure. I finally
Yeah,
got you on my podcast. That's great. And you're welcome
it's
to
a lot
come
of
back
fun. Thank you,
anytime.
Brenda.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. And so, listen, folks, again, I'm going to put Maria's contact information underneath the video and underneath the audio only. And you're welcome to give her a call. I've worked with her. She's great. And she will help you to sell your property. So, anyways, Maria, thanks again. Thanks for taking, I know you're a very busy lady these days. So, thanks for coming on board and have a great day. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Randy.